forgive me if I overmod here. I'm trying to find the levels that are appropriate here. WA3VJB, Paul, thank you. You're fairly strong here. I've been busy watching controls here. Anyways, we're on an HT-37, driving the 2813 amplifier at about 100 watts of carrier here, Paul. WA3VJB, very good to meet up with you again here this morning. KA7RCN, over.
Very good there, Mike. KA7RCN on the HT-37 with the amplifier after that from WA3VJB. Yeah, not a bad signal. The audio is kind of narrow. I think it's got a real strong peak around 2 kc, and the peak is so strong that by the time you get a good level on the rest of the envelope, you're already hitting it kind of hard at 2 kc. So it's probably going to hurt your overall modulation density because you're going to have to avoid hitting baseline with that 2 kc peak while still maintaining enough audio in the rest of the audio spectrum that it's intelligible. You've got plenty of audio. I mean, that's not the question. It's just where the energy seems to be in the distribution from bass to treble. And you also have plenty of signal now that I take a better listen to it. So it sounds like you might need a little bit of work in the audio stage, either through mic selection or perhaps if the components have changed in the HT-37 to go through and see what kind of leveling out that you can achieve to improve the lows to highs there, Mike. Go ahead.
Well, that's good information, Paul. I'm looking at I'm running it through a small EQ here, Paul, and I only have the choice of, here's what I have the choices of. I have 60 hertz at 250, 1 kilohertz at 4 kilohertz, and 16. Well, 16's not even being used. So I might have to readjust something here on the 250 and 1 kilohertz. So what did you say was the most density? Where did you say that was again in there, Paul? Over?
I think I would drop the 1 kc slider down to its minimum. Drop the 1 kc down to its minimum. Leave the 16 all the way down, and let's see how it redistributes things, Mike.
Okay. All right, now, 1 kilohertz, 1 kc, okay. Let's try that. I was plus 2, so I dropped it to a minus 4. Minus 4. There's a minus 6. How did that change anything there, Paul? Over.
Yeah, I think it helped. You'll need to boost your overall audio gain, though, now that peakiness is out of there. If you're watching a scope, just for grins, drop that 1 kc all the way down. That's the only choice you've got that'll really affect where that lump is. And once you drop it all the way down, boost your audio level up overall to redistribute or re-emphasize the rest of the curve. Go ahead.
We raised the audio level up, and let's see if that did anything. I appreciate your time here, Paul, this morning. It's one of the reasons I don't like to make adjustments on the air, but in this case, I thought I might just follow along. Thank you for your time. WA3VJB, KA7RCN.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, Mike. I mean, after all, I'm the audience, so I get the payoff of these adjustments. You don't have to deal with it at your end except to adjust it. And the grateful receptor at the other end, like myself, is the one who gets to appreciate the changes. I think it has helped. I remember, I think I sent you, or I intended to, I sent you a recording the last time at your call letters at Gmail of the DX100, and hopefully you received that and that you were satisfied with it. I managed to roll a little bit here this morning as well, and you can hear the before and after of your audio equalizer adjustment. So I think where you've got it is as good as it's going to get without either a substitute in microphone, if that's where the peakiness is taking place, or, as I mentioned, within the component structure of the audio stages of the HT-37. It's a lot better where it is, and the audio gain is back up where it's supposed to be without having to deal with that nasty peak that was in there at around 2,000 or so. KA7RCN WA3VJB.
Yes, I did appreciate that, by the way, the audio stream. I did appreciate that. That was very kind of you, and I'm trying to, obviously that's, for lack of anything better, lowering the 1K down did, well, I don't have much choices here. You know, what I have here is, I had on the DX100, I use a W2IHY equalizer and EQ plus adjusted. I have another set of those components, but throughout the move that I made from my last location, I think they're missing in action. I cannot find them in my arsenal. Anyway, so we had to substitute another EQ here, which is really not that great. So back to you there, Paul. WA3VJB. I hope all is well with you. KA7RCN.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, it's nice to actually hear the improvement too. I think, like I said, you're probably better off now than at the start of our QSO with having pulled down that 1KC slider. I remember meeting Julius at one of the Dayton Hamventions many years ago when he was first coming into the world of improved audio among radio hobbyists. He seems like a really decent guy. We must have had a 20-minute conversation at his booth at the Dayton Hamvention about audio quality and how it tends to keep a QSO much more satisfying to have improved audio than before that. And he took that as a compliment to his efforts because he agreed with it. And here was a guy who actually could appreciate it at the other end. Like I was saying, we, the audience, appreciate efforts of those who transmit improved audio to make the QSO even better than it otherwise would be, just because the warm and inviting nature, especially on AM, comes through much better. I think what I've just noticed, Mike, is that I've improved upon your signal a little bit more by going to synchronous detection. And if you remember how that works, it actually adds kind of a pilot carrier to your existing carrier, and it improves the demodulation at the receiver, which makes me wonder if the HT-37 is one of those transmitters. I'm trying to remember the Hallicrafters line that might run some sort of controlled carrier or reduced carrier. It looks like you've got both sidebands in there, so that's not the issue. But I've managed to improve upon your audio quality just by adding the synchronous detection carrier on there, Mike, so that might be a curiosity for you as well. I'll send this one to you as well, and you can hear it for yourself. Go ahead.
Yeah, you're awesome there, Paul. Yeah. You know, I missed the flex. I'm going to bring my I'm going to bring my flex 1500 station out here. I just haven't made the transformation yet. I love the synchronous. I love the synchronous detection feature. And yes, this runs a what they call double sideband reduced carrier. basically what I'm having to do, Paul, which is probably, there's probably some quantity or problem or lack of carrier is I'm not running a DB pad. The way this thing runs is for maximum power, and then you cut the power down in half, about 17 to 25 watts. Well, that's way too much for my amplifier. So I have to reduce it down some more, down to about 6. What I mean is about a third. Basically down around a third. So that might be creating some little problems in the resultant carrier. So, yeah, there's lots of, it's a double sideband reduced carrier. So I said, that's what we have here. There's more architecture involved here. I have an HT-32 as well right beside of it, but it's set up for 75. But all your audio is I can't return to favor unless I went in the house and fired up the Flex. But I love making recordings on the air. Not unlike what you're doing there with actual YouTube video. So Paul, back to you there. I hope you copy. You came up to an S9 or plus 10. WA3VJB, KA7RCN.
KA7RCN, WA3VJB. Well, that explains it. I think the extra carrier injection and the re-equalization of your audio curve has made all the difference in the world from your initial transmissions. It was really peaky. It sounded like a cheap telephone, where the carbon element gets all packed down and it's a really narrow. It sounds like a carbon mic on an old military transmitter, and I think the HT-37 has a lot better capability than that. I've heard them sound really good. I do think I would explore to some extent what your microphone is doing. And also try to find the W2IHY box. I think that'll let you fine-tune in a more refined way the audio curve that we've managed to mitigate a little bit there with the 1kc slider. But it's perfectly acceptable now. No one should have any complaints with you, and you should not feel the least bit inhibited about getting on the air with the HT-37 mic. Yeah, very good. Yeah, last time we talked, I took notes down here that you had a little radio building on the back of your property. It's kind of nice that you were able to reconfigure the old farmland like that to include a radio in the back of the house. And yeah, thanks for the audio report. That's the Orban that you were familiar with. This the 9105A. Even if you don't remember the model nomenclature, you're probably aware that Bob Orban had several models and configurations of this unit from about 40 years ago that did a lot of good for both AM broadcasters and FM broadcasters. This one happens to be modified further to be tailored to the shortwave broadcasting group. It has fewer of the segmented compression bands, and it has a special pre-emphasis curve that is designed to not only provide symmetrical modulation, but also a way of minimizing the effect of propagation distortion on a signal in ways that the Optimods for AM did not have. They didn't need it for the most part because most people listen to AM stations in the daytime. But the Optimod HF, which has been used by the likes of Radio Switzerland and the BBC and the Voice of America, was specifically tailored to the vagaries of shortwave propagation. And I'm just really, really fortunate to have lucked into these to put them not only on the broadcast transmitter, which has been reconfigured up here to 40 meters, but also on the Super Senior that Bruce Franklin builds, the current production solid-state transmitter known as the K7DYY that you had already been familiar with when you were out in the Pacific Northwest, to have heard a number of those in the early prototype stages. I wish I knew more about his production numbers, as I mentioned last time. And I also wish there had been more participation by the Pacific Northwest AMers in showcasing the rig, because it's really been a winner as far as I'm concerned. Back to you, Mike. KA7RCN WA3VJB.
Yeah, I love, I love the audio product stuff. I don't know why I just was always interested in the sound systems, on the audio portion of it, growing up with stereos and all of that. And you learn very quickly, of course, when you're young and you have young ears and everything, but even now, with the AM radio transmitters and home built and FM alike, I always was fascinated with guys that had an audio chain of some sort that enhanced the clarity and frequency response. I just thought that was just part of it, just part of the whole picture. And I was fascinated with the commercial mixing tables and things like that. It was just amazing. It was just amazing. It's kind of like having a herd of cattle. You've got one door out in the barnyard, but you open up the board, you get more cows leaving. I know that's a pretty lame example, but you get the picture. There's more frequency response, this, that, and the other. It's always been pretty much an interest of mine. And so back to you there, Paul. The signal has dropped down. Let me know what you're seeing there. WA3VJB KA7RCN.
I think it is going away on us. I was on here early this morning talking with Gary, WD4NKA in Deltona, Florida, and conditions were really good. He was only running a Ranger at 40 watts, and he was peaking at about 10 over 9 here at home. But the band's going to come and go. It's still fairly early, and it'll probably come back again in a while once the sun gets a little higher in the sky. Thanks for the QSO. Nice to follow up with you. And I'll render this thing as a YouTube link and send it off to you so you can hear for yourself what we accomplished today. Now, do check that microphone. I mean, your flex is not going to be a fair comparison. But if you plan on using the HT-37, I do believe the microphone might be worth examining as to what its audio fidelity is. That's liable to be a very narrow mic anyway. But the flexes are wonderful for making recordings. As a matter of fact, that was my first impression of one. Not only did it sound good on transmit as I listened to it, but the guy I talked with sent me an email with the attachment of my own station that told me he was actually receiving in high quality as well. A very, very nice adjunct to our operating time on here. Take care, Mike. And I'll be on here a little bit later today as well. Maybe we can reconnect and provide some more experimentation feedback for you. I'm delighted to be able to do that for you, seriously. KA7RCN at Southeast Ohio, WA3VJB Annapolis. Clear with your radio.
Thank you so much. What a pleasure. What a pleasure, Paul. It's always, it's a pleasure to talk to someone that's of your knowledge and background. So I really appreciate you giving me a hand here this morning. I also looking forward to your email, and I'm going to send you some of the. I have a good acquaintance there in Spokane that builds his own pulse-width modulated transmitters and audio gear, and a lot of the guys are using his equipment. So I will send you some of his pages. It might be something you might want to look at. WA3VJB, Paul 73.